Today I'm watching Peaky Blinders Season 6 Episode 5, only 2 episodes left of the entire series, which is crazy. I'm very curious and very worried to find out how it's all going to come to an end, especially everything we found out in Episode 4 with Tommy getting this diagnosis that he's only got 18 months left to live. So I'm sure he has tons of plans for that time, and I feel like his character will be done by the end of the season. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I'm very worried for what the fate of his character will be. I'm still expecting this kind of showdown between Michael and Tommy. We haven't seen Michael for a few episodes. We know Gina is now sleeping with Mosley as well. So I'm very curious to see how this is all going to wrap up. But thank you so much for sharing in this first time watching with me. If you have any other suggestions for TV shows you think I should watch, please comment below. And if you want to have a say in what movies or TV shows I watch, be sure to join Patreon. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and check back often for more awesome content. They've definitely been experimenting with the theme song, which has been interesting, especially for last season. Oh man, I love the way they do these like throwbacks to earlier seasons with this long walking shot of Tommy. Usually he had his family behind him, so it's interesting that now it's just him, and we're back in Small Heath. Is that dynamite?
I'd like a pot of green tea, please.
Oh, he's like, you know what? Just while we're chilling, I'll just grab some tea if you don't mind. Thanks. Oh my gosh. A literal ticking time bomb. My hands would be shaking. Oh my gosh.
你瞧，我说了吧，不是真的炸的。
Oh man. I think it's real. Yep, I think some fish are gonna have the— oh, yep. Definitely real. Cheese and rice. That's terrifying. He would have blown himself up. Oh my gosh, Tommy, you're a loose cannon. I mean, his days are numbered as it is, but still.
I'll have it demolished and replaced by apartments. By order of the Birmingham Urban District Council.
Birmingham Urban District Council, okay. Usually it's by order of the Peaky Blinders.
Sorry I'm late. Closed Montague Street. There's a gas explosion or...
Bomb in the river. Aha! He knows exactly what it is. Yeah.
I'd like to welcome Finn's new wife.
Oh, Finn got married.
I met a girl. We share the shade of a hazel tree. 9 months later.
Lizzie. Oh, she's gone through so much already, and now this.
For the moment, welcome, son. You have a seat. Go on, sit down here.
I'm terrified of what he means by earn his way into the family.
Some wounds I can try to heal.
New wounds you can open up.
Yep. Yep.
That's the business of the day.
Is it too early for whiskey?
You can't right, nothing wrong with that. What can you do, eh?
I can tell the time.
That's good. Good to know.
Yeah, he can tell the time. Ain't that clever?
It is a useful skill. Wow.
Yeah, keep it. Stop you from being late in the future.
That's interesting that he gets a watch and he's like taking him under his wing, and they got Michael a watch for his 18th birthday, which was very shortly after he had joined or met his family. Very interesting. I don't want to see similarities, but it's nice to see Arthur take somebody under his wing.
Is there forgiveness in your heart for Arthur Shelby?
I thought he was bullshitting when he said he knew how to reach her.
God's plan is a practical one. Perhaps he would like me to make a donation to your foundation.
Is he trying to buy his way back into her being with Arthur again?
Do we have a deal?
It's like, you can't look after Arthur, you need to help.
But I'm only agreeing to help him. Not sleep with him.
I was gonna say, how far does this contract go?
Rich man. Don't you ever say thank you?
He's like, I'm not sure if this is a gift or a curse just yet. But like, this guy was stealing from you before, and now you're giving him another opportunity to steal from you? Oh, a bullet with his name on it?
Do this.
So he can choose not to be violent?
I feel it.
junk doesn't even come close.
Or just to put the fear in somebody. He just loves the power that he has over people, I guess.
And with one finger, he wrote on the ground.
Arthur. Brother.
Oh, that's such an interesting angle. Like the camera angle.
I know enough.
And he still hasn't told her.
I'm on the list. On the very top of the list.
I don't think that's true. Aw.
Yeah. Yes, you are.
I wasn't expecting him to admit it.
I regret marrying you, Lizzie.
Oh my gosh.
That is my regret.
Yeah, not that he didn't care about her. He just feels like he's worse. Like,
And I don't know what's inside the box. Never have you let me in.
and I don't think it's gonna start now.
The combination to the safe.
Aw. I think the only person he was willing to let in was Grace, and obviously that's long gone. Poor Lizzie.
The police won't listen, I'll go to the newspapers. I'm not afraid.
You should be, bud. I think it's gonna end well for you.
And I was not afraid. I am not afraid.
Arthur's gonna do something horrible.
I've seen too many bad things. A beating will make no difference.
I don't think you're walking out of here, bud.
Be that man on the police! Give it to me like today, Billy. What one?
Oh, no, 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 no.
You don't know him, Billy. Come on. Hate him. Look him in the eyes.
Oh my god, that's the worst. Oh, no, don't look him in the eye. Oh, that would hurt so much. He's apologizing. Oh, god, the sounds. That's horrible. Oh. Oh god, that's so gross. This kid's like, yeah, forget this. Oh my god. Oh, that was a lot. That's a lot. Poor Billy.
You're blooded now, Billy.
Yeah, that's an understatement, bud.
You're blooded now.
I see the big being like so like gentle with him now.
Zoya, you take him to the foundry. You ask for Mr. Patches, all right? You tell him we got some fuel for the furnace.
Billy's not gonna be the same after this, man.
You.
I hear you're the informant inside the Shelby organization.
Oh my god!
He's the man you now work for. I have something I need you to do.
Wow, 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 wow. Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm about to give you an instruction. You do as I say, you stay a man. Serve your balls to you on a china plate.
Oh my god, that's so graphic. What a graphic episode.
A decision's been taken. My associates are gonna take care of Thomas Shelby.
What? What?
Do you understand?
Oh! Yo.
Above his mother. Most of all, a man loves his balls.
Oh my god, Billy is having one hell of a day. Almost gets his bits chopped off. He had to kill a man. Whew. Billy. That was a lot. Jack's gonna kill Tommy. They're gonna... Oh god, it was still on there? Yo!
What am I, a tinker? I need 4 wheels. Right. And a horse. For the hills.
Short-lived reunion.
I didn't take to that work in the betting shop.
He's like, I don't want to kill somebody, and that's eventually what's gonna happen.
Stolen watch. The story she made up. It's all you need.
So he knew about this kid the whole time?
Plenty of girls around here. Fathers are mostly unarmed.
Yeah, if Tommy can see, yeah, some potential, he's like, I'll keep you around and use you for my own benefit.
Family. Your support might help them make their decision. Will you help me?
I'm guessing he wants to use his boat to transport more than people.
Oswald is your wife, so my suggestion is about balance and proportion.
Oh my, Diana.
Fair.
Oh my, well, fair is fair. Yikes, she's the worst.
Come.
Oh my! I think that's exactly what he's gonna do. I mean, I guess if your days are numbered, oh my.
In the interests of absolute clarity, that is simply the English aristocracy's way of shaking hands.
Okay.
So, welcome.
Just a friendly handshake, is that what they're calling it? Oh my. And to see him back in the tunnels. Oh! His hallucinations, they said, was part of his condition. Yeah. That was a cool transition, though, to go from the tunnels to the bathtub. Oh my gosh. Oh. While this, like, soft music plays.
Possibility of war you have to consider.
What's in that punch bowl?
It was the ambitions and strategies of one man that caused this.
Oh!
There will be a war in this family, and one of you will die.
I miss Polly so much. Was it like a spell or a curse or something?
When you're ready, I want you to tell me everything that's going on.
It's gonna be a long conversation.
When I know everything, I will tell you everything.
I hope he does before it's too late.
When you come to America, I will show you things.
You're going to America?
Yeah, I was like, when was this decided?
Tommy.
$5 million, Mrs. Shelby. It's worth the little cruise, don't you think?
Is that going back to the first episode when he met Michael? Is that what we're doing?
And when I come back, I will know everything.
If he comes back. I'm getting very nervous. We're getting to like the end of the episode and somebody's showing up. Oh no, 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 no.
My constituency in Smethwick, and I heard our American friend was in Birmingham and that he was coming here.
Just casually invite themselves in, no big deal.
We all got what we wanted.
Yes. And I got what I have wanted from the moment I set eyes on it.
Oh my. She's not very subtle. And Lizzie's getting up notice. Oh no, no.
To have each day what I have only sampled once.
Poor Lizzie. He knows. And she, oh, could you imagine how horrible? Poor Lizzie.
Forgive us, Mr. Nelson. That was a necessary bit of housekeeping.
Monster through and through.
Could there be a sadder ending? Aye.
Aw, Tommy. I could see how he sees himself that way, but the fact that he cares enough about Lizzie to not want to put her in that situation, I think separates him from everybody at that table.
On a gathering storm comes a tall, handsome man.
And a red right hand.
Black coat with a red right hand.
A great cover.
And yes, when I'm released, it is my intention to kill Tommy Shelby.
Oh, yep. Oh, my God. So now he's got Jack after him, or he's going to use Michael to get Tommy. Oh, my gosh. I figured it had to come down to the two of them. They'd set it up so much, and obviously one episode left. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Such a crazy show. I didn't think, like, they couldn't have the show end with both of them getting out alive. So that was my first time watching Peaky Blinders, Season 6, Episode 5. Only one episode to go, and I definitely feel like that episode is going to be the showdown between Michael and Tommy. They've been building to it, and obviously with it being the last episode of the series as well, not just the season, I'm extra anxious going into it to find out how this is going to come to an end. I think either Tommy or Michael, or possibly both, won't make it through the last episode. They've been dropping a lot of hints and foreshadowing the fact that Tommy might not make it out, so I feel like it'll be him, so I'm very worried to see how that's gonna go. And we saw this flashback to Michael and Polly creating some kind of curse or something, and that Polly knew that Michael was planning on killing Tommy, obviously. So I'm very anxious going into the last episode. Also, apologies if you can hear the cats purring. Both of them are curled up on my lap at the moment, so you might hear some purring in the background. This episode was definitely one of the more graphic episodes I think we'd seen in a little while. This whole season hasn't been overly graphic. There's definitely been things that have happened. Obviously, it's Peaky Blinders. There's going to be violence involved. But compared to the earlier seasons, I feel like after we lost Polly, Tommy was trying to be less violent, so it was toned down a bit. But this episode, I feel like they made up for it in tenfold, and I'm very worried with that, what the next episode will be. And if Michael does manage to kill Tommy, please no spoilers, but what that's gonna look like. Ada was briefly in this episode. We found out Finn has been married, but they weren't really featured in it at all. It was mostly focused on Tommy, and Lizzie had quite a few scenes as well, and I felt so bad for Lizzie's character in this episode because we know she's still dealing with the loss of Ruby, as is Tommy, and now she has to deal with her husband who's already distant, but she senses something else is going on as well, and she just wants so bad to find out what's going on, and Lizzie feels like Tommy, regrets marrying her, which I'm sure was just heartbreaking for her. And that last dinner scene, oh my gosh, just to see her find out that Diana and Tommy had slept together, and obviously Mosley knows about it and doesn't care, and Mosley has been sleeping with Gina as well, so definitely wasn't expecting Mosley and Diana just to walk into Tommy's house and to admit in front of Tommy that, hey, we know that you slept with my wife. Like, just such a bold move. I didn't think Tommy would ever tell Lizzie. Obviously, he keeps a lot of secrets from her, but the fact that Diana just walked in and within 2 minutes was like, hey, remember how we slept together earlier? There was some interesting cinematography in this episode. The show was so visually well done, and the lighting, and to have this kind of follow through shot as like the actors were sitting down or standing up. We saw that with Arthur. We saw that in that bedroom scene with Lizzie and Tommy as well, when she's running, back from the other side of the room, and the camera just tilts and kind of stays on that final frame of having the characters tilted within the frame, which was interesting. Often that's used to show that things are off and, things aren't how we usually see them, which is very much the case. Something is definitely askew. And that last dinner scene, I was very worried because the show typically saves, big punchlines for the end of the episode, as we had the final shot, even with Michael just admitting that he's going to go kill Tommy and that Jack is using Michael, although I feel like Michael would do it on his own. Obviously, he needs Jack to help get him out of prison, but I feel like Michael would do this with or without Uncle Jack's involvement. We had quite a few scenes with Billy in this episode as well, which was horrifying. He went through a lot in that 24 hours or whatever it was for his character, being forced to kill that referee. I knew Arthur wasn't going to let him walk out the door once he admitted to being like, no, basically I'm not going to take this. Arthur needs to prove himself so much, I feel like, and especially when Finn was like, well, I'll call Tommy, and Arthur's trying to, stand his ground and prove that he can take care of things and that they don't always have to go running to Tommy. And the fact that he starts, closing the blinds and hands that wire to Billy was horrifying. And just that shot of Billy, with the black frame around him and just kind of this darkness and him just shaking from that low angle was, I think, a perfect way to capture probably what that character was feeling at that moment, because he looked traumatized, whereas Arthur has killed many people and I don't think it phases him anymore, whereas it sounds like this was the first time Billy had done that. Obviously very traumatizing. And then for him to have Uncle Jack, literally get his balls in a vice or whatever that horrible torture device was and say like, hey, you work for me now, and if you don't do what I say, things are going to be removed. And obviously Billy did not want that, and now he's going to be reporting to Uncle Jack and set up Arthur. If we lose Arthur and Tommy both in the next episode, I can't imagine that it's just Finn and the Duke character. I wasn't expecting Tommy to introduce him to the family, and like Lizzie said, Tommy just does whatever he wants, snaps his fingers, okay, this guy's in now because I say so. And we know Tommy loves that power dynamic, and that's why he's been doing it for so long, is he's like, I love having this fear over people and having the power and control and being in charge. And he's like, not even, drugs can compare to this. Basically, it's just that rush that he gets when he has total power over somebody, which is horrifying, but obviously that's what he enjoys, as disturbing as that is. The guy's like, why do you keep doing this? Like, you've obviously got the money at this point, but clearly Tommy is addicted to the power that comes with being part of the Peaky Blinder, or the Birmingham Urban Development, or whatever he had called it, that new foundation. I definitely thought Tommy was lying when he said he had connections to Linda. I thought she was gone for good. We were never going to see her again. And the fact that, you know, Tommy's back to playing puppet master, where he's just moving these pieces in and out of other people's lives to benefit himself. Obviously, with Linda back in the picture, Tommy doesn't have to worry so much about Arthur. Linda will be there. And I don't know if it will eventually turn back into a relationship with Linda and Arthur. There's only one episode left. We know they have a child together as well. But I was wondering where Linda's line would be for Arthur, because obviously she's willing to be bought out to help him get sober. But what does that look like? Who decides when he's good and she can just walk away? Will she be able to? Was not expecting her character to show back up. I thought Tommy was just lying to get Arthur, you know, motivate him to get sober. We know Tommy suffers from hallucinations as part of his illness, and that transition from him in the trenches going into the bathtub to see all these bodies was horrifying, but visually so interesting just to have that as the transition. And obviously Tommy's not gonna get better. He's taking medication, but I feel like the medication is just prolonging, you know, taking care of pain. It's not gonna actually cure anything. Him bringing that bomb into the first scene, and wasn't worried at all. Obviously, he came very close, like with 30 seconds to a minute of himself being blown up, because he was sitting on the table right next to it and, you know, trying to get away the temptation from Arthur so that he's not on opium anymore. And Tommy has these plans to go meet Michael in Canada, which reminds me of the first episode. So I'm very curious to see what that's going to lead to, if that'll be their showdown, if Tommy knows that once he leaves, he's not coming back, basically. And Tommy's made a few ominous statements like, well, I've got some things, you know, to tie up. I've got some things to take care of. And Lizzie still doesn't know. And I feel like she'll be heartbroken when suddenly something happens and he's just not there anymore with no explanation. I feel like there was some great quotes in this episode. The show was so well written, and I feel like they're still keeping with that strong writing style even as we get to the end. Some shows the last season isn't great, or they're trying to fit too much into a last season, or they don't know how to end it, so they're kind of figuring it out as they go. I think the quote that Uncle Jack had where, you know, currency is in blood was horrifying, but very accurate reflection on Tommy's life, because that's how he trades commodities, people, anything of value is through blood and violence, basically. And that quote between Tommy and Lizzie where she said, you know, like, I feel like the clock's ticking and I'm just waiting for this bomb to go off, basically. And they're just kind of stuck in this suspended space where they don't know what's happening, or she doesn't know what's happening, I should say, and he does. And I think Tommy said, like, that's where they live now. That's, you know, the space they have to occupy until he decides to tell her when he knows everything. And he says this trip to Canada will help him know everything, but I don't feel like what answers he's looking for he's gonna find, or if he does, it'll be too late. Personally, I don't see the show having a happy ending. I feel like Tommy's going to get killed off, Michael, Arthur, possibly all three. I do know there's a movie as well, which makes me a little cautious because I'm not sure how they would have a movie without Tommy in it. And I like in this season as well, they've got back to some of those early season roots, being in Small Heath, you know, back at the garrison and having these family meetings, which they haven't done in a long time. Obviously, Michael wasn't there and the family is, you know, getting smaller, but the fact that he calls everybody together definitely used to happen a lot more often. Just kind of pulling at that nostalgia, you know, heartstrings, reminding me of earlier episodes. And how Tommy's still, you know, setting up deals. He's got this guy now running out of Liverpool to run things to Boston or to Canada, and he's still working, you know, he's still setting things in place. He's still starting new things, basically, to make sure that things are in place for when he leaves. And obviously he can't just walk away. And even if he didn't have this, you know, looming time over his head, he had mentioned he would step away, but I feel like this is obviously putting a very real pressure and very real timeline on him that's been decided for him. Basically, he doesn't have control over that anymore. He can't really say, oh, you know, I said a year ago and now I'm gonna keep going, and then a year later, well, okay, only a couple more months. Like, that's gonna be a deadline that's gonna come up whether he likes it or not, whether it's sooner or later, but it will happen. And we know he's talked about death before, war and how after the war and, you know, his thoughts about that. But I feel like this is the most real he's come to facing it, whether he's fully accepted it or not, but it will happen. Tommy also mentioned moving out of that house. Obviously, everything that happened with Ruby, they now have bad memories there and are constantly, you know, reminded of her there. And I feel like that'd be tough to let go of because you'd want to hold on to those memories, but it would also be heartbreaking to know that she's not there in reality and to see that every day. And maybe they will actually blow the house up, who knows. And he was telling Lizzie, you know, we have to make this move, and it was kind of elusive. Overall, I thought it was a good episode. I'm very nervous to go into the last episode and how the characters are going to get wrapped up, which ones will get kind of, you know, put in the background and not really explained, if they'll do like a time jump, if there'll be like an epilogue. I know they are actual people that the Peaky Blinders are loosely based on as well, if they'll reference those, if it'll just be a black screen and then cut and then that's it. I don't know when the movie is supposed to be released, but I feel like there's a lot that they could do with the ending. I feel like one thing we know for sure is that there's going to be the showdown between Tommy and Michael in the finale, and that only one of them will be walking away from it. I feel like this episode did a good job of keeping in artistic elements with the camera moves and also kind of having more dialogue focused character scenes between, you know, Lizzie and Tommy. We really got, you know, a good scene between the two of them talking and getting to learn more about it. Was it the most like action packed scene? No, but then I think, you know, it was horrifyingly balanced with all the graphic scenes from Billy, and it wasn't just, you know, a slow talking episode, which especially for a very dialogue heavy show, sometimes those happen. And having that last shot with Michael admitting, you know, he's gonna kill Tommy. I'm anticipating the next episode will have a lot of dialogue scenes, as well as there'll be a lot of things they need to say and wrap up, and a lot of character stories that we've seen over the past 5 seasons. What's Ada gonna be up to? Arthur, Linda, Tommy, Lizzie, and even new characters, you know, we've met in the past few seasons of Mosley and Diana, and now we've got Duke, who we just met this season as well. Or if some of those characters will have been their last appearance in this episode, like maybe it's just implied that Duke will just be working at the docks for the next, you know, foreseeable future, and that's kind of where his story stops. We had Esme back, Alfie's still around somewhere. They haven't mentioned Tommy's son in a while as well, so to see what's in store for these characters. Again, maybe not all of them will be mentioned, please no spoilers, but to see the final showdown and to see how this saga comes to an end, it's going to be bittersweet for sure. I've really enjoyed the show, and I've really enjoyed the story and, you know, all the character arcs and how far everybody's progressed, and I definitely am curious to look up the real life Peaky Blinders once I finish the show. Like I said, I'm not expecting a happy ending, but I hope these characters can find some kind of peace. Despite these characters doing some horrible, horrible things throughout the course of the show, you still kind of feel for them in some way. I still have some compassion for them as you see these conflicts they have and these struggles they're going through. And it's such a well-written show. Obviously, the characters have grown and changed, and some have taken a step back and then a step forward, you know, throughout the course of the series. And I found that UK shows are notorious for having really well-made shows, but for very short seasons and very short, you know, season runs, like only 6 episodes per season. So I'm not surprised they're ending it here, and I will be very anxiously awaiting the news of when the movie will come out. But thank you so much for sharing in this first time watching with me. If you have any other suggestions for TV shows you think I should watch, please comment below. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and check back often for more awesome content. Is that Dynamite? That's interesting that he gets a watch and he's like taking him under his wing, or just to put the fear in somebody. He just loves the power that he has over people, I guess. What's in that punch bowl? I'm guessing he wants to use these boats to transport more than people. Cool transition though, to go from the tunnels to the bathtub. Monster through and through.